The thumbnails you see on the screen were all created on my mobile phone, and it took just a few minutes, right? If you wish to make Photoshop quality thumbnails on your mobile without using Photoshop, this video is for you, as we will only use PixelLab today, which is entirely free. It's free and runs on mobile, unlike Photoshop. Most viewers use PixelLab for thumbnails, but if you understand the basics in this tutorial, you can easily create thumbnails with PixelLab or any app. Understand the basics in this tutorial, and you can easily create thumbnails with PixelLab or any app. I'll also provide a free pack with over 100 key elements like arrows, graphs, and icons. Like arrows, you'll find graphs and icons for making thumbnails. Without further delay, let's start the video. Let's start. You need to change the canvas size because it's currently in a square shape. Click on the three dots above and go to image size. Now, if you select YouTube thumbnail from the preset menu, your width will be 1280 and height will be selected. This size is recommended by YouTube, so you can definitely use it. However, after uploading to YouTube, the thumbnail might get a bit compressed, so we will choose a slightly larger size, which is 9020 by 1080. And we will confirm it. I don't need this text element right now, so I'll delete it, and now we're ready to create the thumbnail. Now I'll show you this mark, Zuckerberg thumbnail. First, we create the background, so pay attention to the background. It mainly consists of two things. An image of a mobile screen with some apps. To find such an image, I will go to pexels.com and I will search for Instagram. From here, I'll download any image.
Need a gradient. So come into the Pixel tab and click on the fourth option in the bottom menu. Then click on color, and from here you can select a color or gradient for the canvas background. You can go to gradients, and if you like any gradient selected, we like the style of this gradient but we want to change its color. You can click on the gradient to edit it. I want a pink and blue gradient, so I will select the first gradient and click on the paint bucket tool. I will click on the paint bucket tool. I will click the paint bucket tool now. I will click the paint bucket tool. I will click the paint bucket tool now. I will click the paint bucket tool. Paint. Now see the plus icon above. I'll click it and select from the gallery to import the image we downloaded. Next, we will adjust it on the screen. Now click the third option in the bottom menu. Keep in mind, if you import any image or element in PixelLab, you need to come here to edit it. I'm currently on this. I want to reduce the opacity of this image, so I'll go to opacity and lower it significantly. $25 looks good. Okay, for a final touch, I'll reduce the brightness of the gradient a bit from here. And I lower it significantly. You can resize this image. I am satisfied with the size and position, so I will lock this layer in the layers panel.
Next, if I need to add text, I will click the plus icon to insert a text box. To edit it, we will select the text option from the bottom menu. Then, we click edit. I need "it's the end" in the thumbnail, so I'll write "it's the" first. Then, I will check the font. In the Pixel app, there are some fonts available for use. If you want to import another font, go to My Fonts, click the folder icon, and import your downloaded font. I want to use the Monster Heart font, so I will select that. We need to write "end." So instead of creating a new box, let's copy this one and edit it to say "end." We can adjust this size manually, or simply, yes, there's the size tool. You can use this. Alright, I believe I'm happy with the size and placement of the text, so I'll go to Layers and lock both text layers. Then I will click on the plus icon, select a shape, and you can add any shape from here to your thumbnail and edit it as well. I just need a rectangle that I can easily create by resizing a square like this, and let's change its color to red from here. Lower the opacity by 50%. I will resize it a bit more. After that, we will hide this, and I'll add a rectangle, text, and mark Jacob behind. And since we've provided the dimensions ourselves, I'll keep it custom, and then I'll click on Save to Gallery. And yes, you might need to change something in the thumbnail later. That's why you should save your final project. Before we continue, I've made a free thumbnail pack with over 100 important elements for thumbnails like backgrounds and icons. I'll keep updating this pack in the future. If you're a beginner, I'm sure it'll be very helpful. You can access it via the link in the description or print comment. Now let's look at how to create this Mark Rober thumbnail in PixelLab. We've learned the basics, so it should be easy. First, we need to create a blue and pink gradient, which we made earlier. I'll change its style to diagonal and switch the colors. I'll switch the colors. Then up.
By clicking on the place icon, I will import a photo of a video editing timeline that I downloaded from Google, and it fits in full screen. To edit any element, you need to click the third option in the bottom menu, and I want to reduce the opacity of this image, so I will go to opacity and bring it down to 30%. You can also play around with brightness, contrast, hue and saturation here. I want to increase the saturation a bit. Or now I will lock this layer. Whenever you need to perfectly align an element on the canvas, simply click on that element, go to the third option in the bottom menu, and here you'll find the relative. You need to use the position tool now. If you want to align an element perfectly on the canvas, I will simply click on it and my PNG will align. Next to the relative position, you'll see the color filters option where you can adjust the element's brightness, contrast, hue and saturation. I will adjust the brightness now. I will set the contrast to 9. After the color filters, the next option is stroke, which I will also enable. You will move forward to stroke, then you will find the shadow option, which allows you to add a drop shadow to the element. So I will enable this, enabling it. Blur radius is 25. Okay, I won't fiddle with this element anymore, so I'll lock its layer. Now let's add some text by going to the text tool. And I need a breakdown. Montserrat will be the right font. Now, since this text is covering Mark Robber's head, we'll go to layers and place this text layer below the Mark Robber layer. Then we'll add another text box. Let's do it. I'll enter editing here. Next, I'll select the font and this time I'll pick a thin font, so let's use Arial. This text looks like...
I'll access the Style tool and italicize this. Then I'll place it over the breakdown word. Let's lock both text layers since they look good. For the next tape, I will click the place icon and import the logo from Premiere Pro that I got from Google. We can simply use it too, absolutely. "30 in y-axis." I will use a lighter shade of purple from Premiere. And we will stick it now because this logo is on top, so I will shift this layer below the marker layer. You can see how good the thumbnail looks, but the final cut logo still needs to be added, so I'll quickly add that too.